Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock. Thank you for joining for our return in person coffee hour for the upcoming few weeks as we return to full in person. We just had a 6 o'clock meeting with our Digital Learning Academy families as well. Many of you have some of our general information and thoughts because it's impacted you directly, maybe more so than the DLA families who are still considering a return. There have been no major changes thus far, but let me put up the information and then we can go from there. Each of you will be receiving via the schools office for each of the schools an updated return in person learning guide. This is a general one that you're all going to be receiving tomorrow. It's kind of a big district wide, if you will. And then for each of you, you'll be receiving, again, multiple ones if you have kids in multiple schools, because the impact is we have a working group of educators within each building, along with the building principals that are assuming control of how their building responds because of the physical layout of the buildings, the number of students, and the issues concerning the buildings. So the return in person learning guide really starts with some general information from my office on the principles of what we'll be talking about in general tonight. I won't read this to you. Like I said, you'll get it tomorrow, but really taking a look at what has been now more than a year since we left school physically when I called off school on March 13th or the 12th or the 13th for a couple of weeks. And then it became 3 weeks and then 6 weeks, and then we were closed, and then the hybrid and DLA and so on and so forth. But it's exciting to be talking about having all of our students back in our buildings. We'll be talking in general about what the district has decided to do since the beginning, which is to follow the CDC recommendations. And we've been doing that since the fall. And then transportation, classroom and building issues, and of course, food services are really the key issues. It's really important to recognize two core understandings of our reopening plan. Number one, classrooms will not be at less than 3 feet, and lunches can only take place at 6 feet or more because people are taking off their masks. So those are commitments that we've made. There is a change I'll be making on this screen that you have in front of you, and I'll tell you in a second. We have a professional development day, day 182 to the teacher's contract taking place this coming Monday. Teachers have a 182-day contract. Students have 180 days. As you know, the students were 170 this year. So this is a professional development day for our staff, pre-K to 12, and includes our DLA staff. We have a full return on March 23rd, in-person learning day 1 for pre-K to 5. Little Lancers, by the way, preschool has been going to school, but we just put them on here so there was no confusion. Grade 6 to 8 will return for in-person learning on March 29th, or 2 weeks or a week from this coming Monday. And grade 9 through 12 will return in person for day 1 to be determined. I am announcing tonight that there will be an announcement within the next 48 hours about a specific date and return schedule for Norton High School. For our Digital Learning Academy families, I also provided to them today, and this is the change, the pre-K to 5 is a return for them as well of March 23rd, not the 22nd. Please excuse the typo, that'll be corrected, along with April 12th and May 10th. For grades 6 to 8, March 29th, April 26th, and May 24th. And grades 9 to 12, again, we'll provide dates for that. These are actual dates for DLA families to be able to return to school, and only during those dates. The state has given us 4 to 6 week window. I'm utilizing the 4-week window. Should provide us enough time to support families as these changes are taking place. The part that's really important is the idea of conduct. It's very interesting that I think my principals will tell you that conduct, behavioral issues in our schools have always been relatively low, but they've never been closer to 0 than they are right now. Our expectations of that will not change. And because of COVID, it could require you having to pick up your child from school more often, or maybe something that you typically wouldn't do. But we will have a very clear 0 tolerance around issues because of COVID where students create safety concerns. And that will be for all students of all grade levels, according to what's appropriate for a grade level student, i.e. it's a lot easier to send home a high school student than it is an elementary student. And of course, we'll always consider students' learning challenges and issues as part of those decisions. But the COVID response to behavior has to be at a higher level. We've had limited to no vaping, for example, in our high school. Can't wait for the first week of everybody in. I can guarantee you there'll be vaping happening. It's just part of the pattern of things that we see. I also have high expectations that our students understand that things like vaping and lung issues and all of that with COVID are also serious issue for our students. Transportation guideline is really under the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. And as my staff, specifically my administrators that are on tonight, will tell you, DESE has moved the goalpost every time that they could. On Tuesday, the goalpost is here, and on Wednesday, it's somewhere else. And by the following Tuesday, it's back to where it was. And that's what we've been doing for months with the department, which I think is unfortunate, but they're utilizing their own data, their own philosophy to make some of these determinations. Masks will be required on buses. Elementary students will have physical distancing. High school students will as well, but in fact, the students are seated side by side. And for contact tracing purposes, they will have assigned seating as per the bus driver. Ventilation, all of our openings of windows will be at 2 inches. In adverse weather conditions, they can be opened with first row windows open 2 inches, second row windows closed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We'll probably see less and less of that over the next few weeks as hopefully the weather gets better. It looks like next week with opening of school, we're averaging somewhere between 60 and 65 degrees every day, which would be fantastic. Sanitizing will continue as what has been happening. And of course, if you have questions with bus routes, please email Matt Wells at mattwells@norton.k12.ma.us. Or go to the transportation page to get updates. The cost to take the bus for the rest of this year is $52. So if you haven't signed up for the bus, you're talking about all of starting on the 22nd, the 29th, and then the high school for the remainder of the year until June 17th. I think it is that we get out. It's a pretty reasonable $52 for all those weeks of pickup and drop off. The classrooms will be at no less than 3 feet. There was a question earlier too. By the way, you can put in questions if you'd like on the question or on the site there. The no classroom will be at less than 3 feet. Lunches will always take place at 6 feet. But let's talk about the classrooms. We have all kinds of different square footages in our classrooms. I use the example of the Yale School, where a classroom of 20 students could be right at 3.5 feet, and another classroom could be at 4.5 feet. But we will not go under the 3 feet rule with masks on and sanitation provided at all times. We have hand washing and sanitation stations throughout the entire school. Every hallway, entranceways and exitways have them, and this is in all 5 of our buildings as well. We will continue to do our routine cleaning like we've been doing. It's really important to know that that's really worked on our behalf or for us, and it's been because of our custodial crew and our support from our staff to make sure that we're getting these things done. This picture in particular shows you 2 of the areas that I think are important. One is utilizing our air product system that you see on the left side. That's basically a 99.99% sanitation product that really hits any hard surface, and literally within 30 minutes, the area is completely clean. And then our director of facilities, Wade Lazat, posing there for the new Norton Public Schools GQ magazine, is taking a picture of the ventilation system, where we have now gone 3 times into the year of changing out all of our filters, more so than we ever do. And our systems with air exchange are working at significantly high levels of 9 airflow exchanges on average in most of our classrooms, or higher, definitely higher than the 6 recommended by CDC. Our chemicals list has not changed. Feel free to ask for any of the information that you need on here, because your child might have a specific issue. These have not changed. So if you've been in the hybrid model, these are the same ones that we have been using since the beginning of school. Hallways, we're looking at one-ways in all of our buildings where we can have it happen, not all buildings. Specifically, we're looking at the high school to have as much of a one-way as possible. And bathrooms changes, again, haven't changed. We will be utilizing having singletons and no more than two people utilizing the bathroom on a regular basis. Again, no changes to what we've been doing. We do have potential outdoor spaces that will be available pending the weather. And our medical waiting room means our nurses area now has two spaces. One is the regular nursing area for visits that are non-COVID related, and then an area that's solely grounded on COVID. Our nurses are able to test, but they are only able to test adults. They do not test students, so that would be a parental responsibility. Arrival and departure procedures are also going to be presented to you by the building principals. Our biggest issue right now is the JCS. As I said to the DLA families, it's a parking lot because people are showing up too early. You cannot park at the JCS at 2:30 in the afternoon for a 3:35 dismissal. So people are going to be asked to leave if that continues to take place at the JCS. We hate to be harsh, but to be quite honest, we don't think it's safe to have anybody sitting in a car outside of an elementary school over an hour before a release time. I just lost that page, sorry. Got to scroll down again. The other part that I think is really important for all of us to be able to get a hold of and want to is when we're looking at situations of 3 feet in the classroom, we're still utilizing 6 feet contact tracing. So there's a potential that more and more students could be out quarantined because of that. Remind yourselves that after day 5, you can get a test and with negative return to school on day 8, I believe it is. So in general, it becomes a parent responsibility. Those rules from CDC have not changed. They also haven't changed from DESE, to be quite honest. So we're hoping that there is some movement on that issue as well. Recess, for those of you concerned about that, will continue to take place. And yes, the playgrounds will be available, but students must wear masks on the playgrounds. And again, we have staff-only testing as a way to get our staff back in. Our staff has been wonderful in getting vaccinated. I want to publicly thank them. They are working diligently to get themselves vaccinated. Many of our staff have already taken a shot with the Johnson & Johnson and they're done. And a whole nother group of people are literally, as we're opening school, they'll be getting their second shot next week and the week after. Seating areas for students will be strictly enforced at 6 feet. Those currently will be done in the cafeterias and the gyms and the potential for outside as well. Pending, again, weather and everything that goes with that. We've been looking at some tent ideas for the schools, but there's a lot of concerns because of having fixed students outside more often than we really would want to. But our protocols will remain the same. Our principals have done an awesome job along with our facilities department to really organize that in a way that makes it nice and simple, or as simple as we think we can. And of course, if you have questions about the menu, you can go to the Nutrislice.com menu and take a look at it and see what's their availability for you and your children. CDC recommendations as of March 8th continue to be noted with items like fully vaccinated people can visit with people indoors without wearing masks or physical distancing. Visits with unvaccinated people for a single household, you still got rules that you should be following. The impact on this in schools is we're wearing masks, adults are getting vaccinated, we're following the protocols. We're not going to change those protocols within the working day with our staff and or visitors and or volunteers within our schools. And of course, all the links that are here are available to you as well. In the chat box, there will be regularly scheduled mask breaks, and by regular, they will be by classroom teacher. They will not be a bell where all of a sudden we have the entire school involved. We are going to ask our teachers to concentrate with our students on when they look like they need a mask break, and let's do it. Nobody's counting the time, how many times you do it within an elementary classroom. It's all about making sure that you're recognizing the number of students, how hot it is, are students frustrated, do they need to get out, are kids wanting to get out. So we will have mask breaks going on, I think even more so than we do now because of the number of students that are actually coming into the school. And those breaks must be done in areas that have open air quality. So if the gyms aren't being used, if the CAF isn't being used, those are all areas that can be used besides going outside during non-lunch breaks. When students are quarantined, they are exactly that. They are quarantined. This is going to be probably one of the biggest headaches because we will not be live streaming students in as part of that. At the elementary level, they are cohorts. That has not changed. And what that means is if there's a positive case situation taking place, then those students will have to quarantine, and then families have the decision to choose when they will be able to take their test and return to school. If the teacher is quarantined, then things change a little bit here. If the staff member is quarantined, then we're looking at potentially doing live streaming for that entire class. Now, when we go to the high school, that's a whole different animal because students have as many as 7 different teachers, not just 1 or 2 teachers. If we look at, somebody's asking, do you have a full listing of classrooms across all of Norton Public School systems that lists each classroom's assigned distance? No. Well, we do, and we will. We can definitely publish that in terms of what it generally looks like. The issue will be that there will be no class at less than 3 feet at all. Most of those issues happen at the high school level, not at the elementary level. And I believe Mr. Dolleman's on tonight, and Ethan, you can probably support my statement that right now you're pretty much at no less than 3.5 feet in any classroom.
Yes, all of this, as far as the classrooms, if we gave a list, all of the rooms would be listed at essentially the same distance. They'd be about 3.5 feet, edge of desk to edge of desk. And what will be different though is if a student is in a class that has 12 kids, they'll be able to spread out to 6 feet or even more, depending on where they're assigned within the classroom. Some of the classrooms that are going to be sort of more full, if there's 25 students or something like that, they'll be at that 3.5 feet. So we could definitely get the information about desk space in classrooms, but it won't give you the full picture on how distant students are actually going to be within the classroom at any given time.
Thank you. Great answer. And that would be pretty much duplicated throughout the rest of the district as well, in terms of, if Mr. Baeta has 17 kids in his classroom, they could be at 4 or 5 feet, and Mrs. Baeta is teaching the same subject across the hallway in the same square footage, and she has 24 kids and they're at 3.5 feet. So that's in general what we're looking at. It's really about 2 different things. At the elementary level, it's pretty much a set number for the day. At the middle school, they pretty much travel together. At the high school, they do not travel together. Everybody goes in different directions in terms of classrooms and based on the courses that they take. Will the Champions program be following and adhering to what the school district has planned? In general, they actually follow more stringent rules because they are under early childhood rules and regulations as a before and after school program. So they'll be coming out with their footage and all of that. But again, they're looking at right now, none of their rules have actually changed. We have been told that they're going to follow DESE's rules, which would be the no less than 3 to 6 feet, but we haven't gotten that in writing as of yet. Is there some remote assignment option? It seems children may miss more education in these quarantine situations. Yeah, that's a really good question, Gordon. The biggest issue is who does the remote and how do we get things out to students that aren't in school? We're going to have to just play it by ear to be, if you want me to be honest, about the best approach to that. We don't think that having multiple classrooms of 20 kids at home with 20 kids in the classroom is going to be fruitful and be able to get the education that we want get done. And so this weekend, for example, I dealt with a situation of outside of school sports that has led to 15 students being quarantined in one of our schools. Once again, the school system has to react to that. With all due respect, I didn't choose that kids go play sports on the weekend. That's a family decision. So how we react to that as a district is going to be based on what we have and what we can offer to families. We are going to predominantly stay away from middle school students using their lockers because of a concern by the school nurses that it becomes an area of congregating. That was a question that came up. Again, there should be a direct answer from the principal's office on that in the near future and before you open. Will weekly lunch sign up continue? Matt, will weekly lunch?
No, we will no longer be having the sign up form. We will have the lunches at the school. Students will go up to the lunchroom, come up to the lunch line, grab a grab and go lunch and go sit down and eat their lunch. The meal offerings will still be there, the hot meals, everything that we normally would offer. They're just going to sort of be traditional, going up to and grabbing it and then sitting down. So we've done away with the form completely.
Thanks, Matt. Question on is, if a student is quarantined, are they considered absent? We're going to have to work on this because we have to follow certain rules from the state. But we may be looking at something like, because of this return, something called more of a quarantine absent, if you will, versus just absent. In other words, we recognize that the student isn't in school for safety reasons, but we are not making that count towards the student. So we're going to have to work on that internally with my staff as the best approach. Are there backup plans for dismissals at the JCS? No. I'm only saying that so quickly because I know who's asking the question. Forgive me to my colleague. We are concerned about the dismissal at the JCS. Just today, I walked that space myself. I have met with the administration. We are going to attempt some changes, but it starts with people cannot be at the school for dismissal so early in the afternoon. And if we have to use the Norton Police Department detail to kick people off property, we will do so. You cannot show up at 2:30 for a 3:35 dismissal. Just can't happen, because what happens is it creates a disaster of an overflow of traffic. So yes, we are working on backup plans and scenarios. We're going to probably do it for a couple of days, try to fix it, do it for a couple of days, try to fix it, since we have so many cars. And have I told you, our wonderful transportation department is offering transportation this year for $52 for the rest of the year. It is the best bargain in Norton, $52 for a pickup and a drop off every day for the last 60 plus days of school. It is the best deal in town, $52. Try to take the bus if you can, please. If you can't afford the $52, please reach out. We will do our best to support you. But if you could take the bus, it would really alleviate some of those issues. We know that families are concerned about taking the buses, but I can tell you, there is no overflow of students on buses at the JCS right now. I can assure you of that. And that's the reason why we have so many cars at the JCS. If you can, it's $52. I feel like I'm doing a commercial, but it's $52.
You mentioned one thing about busing too. We talk about in the classrooms having 6 turnovers of the air per hour. On the bus, it's 20 to 40 turnovers of air per hour. So that air is really moving fast with all those windows open. And the timing that they're actually on the bus is usually 10 to 15 minutes. So they're pretty much off that bus pretty quickly with a lot of airflow. So again, just another sort of safety piece to talk about.
Question, Matt, can you take the bus just in the afternoon?
Yes, register for the bus. If you just need the afternoon, what you do is register for the bus and then fill out a bus stop change request form, which isn't actually changing your stop, but just it gives you the ability to give us a written narrative, and then we can make sure that we assign them just to an afternoon.
Matt, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you know if there's any will to make that a better cost than $52 since it's just one way?
No, we generally don't do that. We usually keep the $52 as it's a fixed rate. So normally it's $350. If you're only using it 2 days a week, it would still be $350 for a normal fee. $52 is still based on actually only riding the bus 2 days a week. We did not increase it to a proportional $350 fee, which it would be normal in a year. The fee this year was $133. So this $52 is proportionally based upon the same $133.
So some of you are probably booing that. I agree. No, I'm kidding. This is an opportunity for $52. We did not increase it. It's not based on the daily rate. It's just trying to literally provide a service as much as we can. Thanks, Matt. We'll pick up and drop off change for the LGN. Kathy, any updates that you want to bring up on that on pick up and drop off at the LGN?
They're staying approximately the same. So although in the afternoon, we're having all 6 buses load at the same time rather than 2 at a time. So that should speed things up for parent drop-off, pickup.
Yes, we are looking at staggered dismissals at the JCS, including cohort models. It will not be the first thing that we do, but we are looking at options like that and even grade levels. Matt, somebody argues that it's longer than 10 to 15 minutes on the bus. I knew the moment you said that somebody would. I guess that's we're using that as an estimate. I know some students are probably on there longer, so we don't question that. We're just saying that the airflow that's happening on those buses is pretty significant. It's actually more than a classroom. Middle school students have been traveling by subject. Mr. Hayward, I believe they are going to continue to do so, right?
Yeah, we're still maintaining the small sub cohorts that really help insulate us against massive quarantines. So we'll do that with some exceptions to make sure that we meet compliance with IEPs. We have some kids that will cross sub cohorts, and there may be the need to switch some student schedules just because I'll hit capacity at certain in certain classrooms, and we want to maintain that 3 feet. Even if we have to change something in the middle school, they still would maintain the same group of teachers, the same team. They would just take their classes in a different order. I think this would be limited to perhaps under 10 students that I'd have to contact families for a switch. But we'll still maintain that small group travel.
Thank you, Mr. Hayward. Question from one of our parents, response by Ms. O'Neill that you can directly email her and she'll help you with it. So if the person's still on, the email to Ms. O'Neill is on there for you to contact them about a return. We agree with you that staggered at the JCS might be something we want to take a look at. We just be mindful that we still have time on learning requirements as a school, and that's one of the concerns that we have is the moment one parent complains that their child is getting 10 minutes less of education a day, it blows up the entire thing. It takes one phone call, and the phone call, by the way, isn't to me. It's to those above me that are counting the minutes and times during COVID. Bus 11 p.m. Bus 11 afternoon route start time is 3. The line above that on bus route sheet says Henry Yale 338. Yale school sheet gets out at 2:45. Am I reading this incorrectly? I'm going to ask the person with the specific question if you can email Matt Wells at mwells@norton.k12.ma.us. He can respond to you about how that's being read. It does seem like you are reading it incorrectly, but I'll defer. Matt, any thoughts?
Yeah, it sounds like that. I'm not looking at it myself, so I'll have to take a look at it and respond.
If you're already using the bus 2 days per week, do we need to register again? The answer to that is no. You're already considered a rider. Great question.
Oh, you also don't have to pay again. So if you've already registered for the bus and you've already paid the fee for the year, you don't have to pay the $52 for the rest of the year.
I disagree. Kidding. That was a joke. We need more laughter right now with COVID. No, if you've already paid your set and done, don't worry about it. If you're picking up for the rest of the year, it's the $52 charge. So that's how it works. Yes, Mr. Hayward, it looks like the issue of middle school mask enforcement has come up again. We'll just make sure that Mr. Hayward has seen the question and that he clearly articulates that to his staff. And if you have an issue, email him directly about students not getting enough breaks with those types of situations. Yes, K1, Cheryl, thanks for bringing up. Yes, we are looking and have looked at K1 pickup in the front circle at the JCS and 2 and 3 in the back. That is still another idea of things to potentially do. Again, we have all kinds of family situations that concern us with that. But we are looking at all different types of options at the JCS for release. And did I say that buses are $52 for the rest of the year? Sorry. At least a couple of my administrators left. So they all know that JCS transportation situation really is nobody's fault. It's just we have a lot of people that are dropping off right now. And I get it. We support you. You're just going to have to be patient with us as we do make potentially daily changes to that under the auspices of the number one concern that the principal, assistant principal, and the staff in that building have, and that is safety. I've put up some ideas and they've shot me down on those ideas because they're concerned that there'll be too many students running around the parking lot by themselves. I come from a background where the afternoon bell rings and people leave the building. That is not our culture at the JCS, even though that's done in a lot of other school districts with that age group. It's not done in Norton. It's not the way we've done things. That's fine. And everybody's really concerned, staff and admin, about that. So I need to play into their cautious concerns about how to best do that. Yes, students can drink water while they're in the classroom by just taking the mask off, drinking their water, putting their mask back on. That was another question. Lockers right now are something we're trying to stay away from. The school nurses are really concerned that that becomes an area of congregation for students, and supervision of that can be difficult. So Marty, this is a question about the Yell. Will they be using their lockers? Thoughts on that, if any?
Yeah, sorry, I was frozen. Yes, we are using the lockers for fourth grade. They'll be spaced out and the kids will be spaced out in order to use them. But yes, we are using them for fourth grade.
Okay, thank you. The question continue about the issue of students who become quarantined. Again, this is going to have to be something that we play out. It's an easier situation in K-5 than it is in 6-12. In K-5, students have a general education teacher, and then they have one special during the day. If everyone's out or a big group of students are out, including the teacher, we can do what we've done in the past. However, in 6-12, that is a huge curveball and a concern. And to be quite honest, we're going to have to figure out as we go. And it's all going to depend on the quarantining that takes place, which currently is at 100% on issues that happen outside of school. That I know that we can't control for whatever reason, whatever takes place. But again, we're just going to have to play that by ear. That's the most honest approach I can give you right now. We have ordered 500 desks for the elementary schools. Those are all in brand new desks. They're just the small rectangular desks for elementary. The reason for that is so that we can put them into cafeterias or into the classrooms and then replace the ones in the cafeterias, because you still have singleton seating during all lunches in the district. So that's the reason for that. Those will be put up this coming weekend in classrooms. Classroom walkthroughs by building principals, and the needs for chairs and tables and all that has already started. The high schools is a little further behind, if you will, because they're going to have a later start date than the ones that are currently happen in K-8. And we are currently in a good place with everything else. A lot of time and planning going on, and most of it being driven through a local committee of staff working with the principal to try to address those, and then publishing those to you as much as we can. But based on the guidelines that I'm giving you tonight, in general, this is what it's going to look like. It's just going to be more specific school by school. Karen, any technology items that you want to bring up at all? We're in a good place with technology.
We are. The only thing that I would say is our elementary students, there may not be a need for them to be taking devices back and forth. So we have ordered carts for our preschool through grade 3 classrooms. We already have carts in the 4th and 5th grade. And I would expect certainly the pre-K to 3 devices to remain in school. And 4-5, there might be more flexibility if needed to take home, and 6-12 will continue back and forth as needed.
Thank you. And you wanted to take the next question on DLA return?
Yep. So for families that are considering having their students that are in the DLA program return to school in person, you can either reach out to myself or to Mr. Gagan. And then we're trying to kind of set people up with the most appropriate person for their child. So if you'd like to send us an email, mine it's J O'Neill. He is M Gagan at Norton. We'd be more than happy to have some conversations with you about that.
Great. Thank you for
Joe,
that.
can I just jump in again?
Yep.
If there was an issue with quarantining, and students needed to be at home, of course, if there was an arrangement where we were able to, provide work for them, they could absolutely have the device at home. We would send that home. And if there was something that the student went home and didn't have a device, my tech team is ready to drive around and deliver devices as needed. But for sure, I would say when your child returns to school, have them bring their device and the charger so that we can put those in the carts. We actually feel that is going to be the easiest way to manage them within the schools.
And that would be for the youngest students, correct?
Well, I would say all elementary students should plan to bring their device back on the first day that they're coming back, so that we can, and that is with the charger, so that we can wire the carts.
Questions coming up, but what happens if they use the device at home to access books or math, etc.?
I would say the only way that they would be going back home is under the teacher direction.
Okay. All righty. Not really seeing any more questions. I'm going to put a couple of folks on the spot really quickly, just to, if you have any quick thoughts. Wade, anything facilities that you think is important for our families to know as we're reopening from a hybrid into a full in person?
Yeah, sure. We are going to continue to monitor our airflow throughout our buildings. We are scheduled for one more air quality test, as well as filter change between now and the end of the year. We're doing one now, and there'll be one more before the end of the year. So the air quality should be good. We have secured a bunch of PPE to get us through the rest of the year. So masks and hand sanitizers and hand sanitizer stands and soap and paper towels and all that will get us through to the rest of the year. So as far as the facilities are concerned, I think we've done a great job. The crew has worked incredibly hard trying to keep the schools as safe and clean as possible, and we'll continue to do so.
Thank you. Mr. Searcy, Vinnie Searcy's PBS and SEL office.
Yes, so as far as special ed, I'd like to thank all of the administrators and the staff. They worked really hard to maintain our schedules. So there'll only be some minor changes across the district in terms of therapy schedules, inclusion schedules, and so forth. So that's a big plus for our staff and honestly for our students and families. In terms of SEL, we're working at the building levels to utilize our structures like PBIS to make sure that we do go over expectations, to look at sort of monitoring students with, might be anxious about coming back full time. I'm meeting with each of the counselors sort of in groups, elementary, middle school, and then high school, to again sort of look at how we want to process any as we return students that might be feeling anxious or might have had some issues coming up. But as you said in the DLA meeting, if parents have concerns about students returning full time, please reach out to your adjustment or guidance counselors. They're there to work with the students. We're setting up a process to help teachers identify students who might need some additional supports. Our PD day, we're opening with Dr. Booth, who's going to talk about sort of the impact that this has had on students and families, and how we can help support them as they return to full in person. So lots of things going on.
Thank you. Comment here about many other districts have managed quarantine issues with streaming. Do we just not have the technology to do this successfully? Well, I think we have to define live streaming. Google and Zoom versus actual live streaming are different. Right now, what we're looking to do is try to manage that at the secondary level as much as we can. It is going to be a curveball. It has been most of the year anyways. But with all students returning, we have some concerns about live streaming with students as well. Parent survey asks for parent volunteers. Yes. Reach out to your direct principal and say, I would like to volunteer. We will absolutely accept your volunteering. We just have to agree to some protocols under COVID and stuff within the buildings. But yes, especially if you are being vaccinated already, that would be fantastic. We could absolutely use you during the recesses and the lunches and that type of stuff. Mother's hours, if you will. I hate to call it that. Parents' hours, if you will, could definitely be a big help, especially at the LGN and the JCS.
Joe, I actually shared all of that information with the principals, so they have those lists and the best contact information for those families that said they were interested in volunteering. I think based on the individual school plans, they'll be used a little bit differently. I would also like to mention that if there is anyone on this call that is able to be a substitute, we are extremely short when it comes to daily substitutes in all of our buildings. So for families that maybe have the ability to volunteer one day a week, you'd actually get paid as well. And then you'd be considered a school employee, which it might help you get your vaccination a little bit sooner as well. So if anyone's out there is interested in subbing, we absolutely need subs.
Great sales pitch on that, because that's true. Any information regarding in-person band once we return in full? Yes, we'll have a statement on that soon. We're still following all kinds of rules and regulations, but we're anticipating some significant changes on that once again, and returning all of that to our schools. and continuing it. I know that I happen to have a child that's at Norton High School that's in the band, so that's a major part of their day. They are doing that, but there's also the middle school band is another area that we want to make sure we're trying to bring back some normalcy. So a lot of excitement in the air about our return. A lot of anxious people about our return. I'm going to suggest that returning with flexibility is a key component of this. There are going to be hiccups in the first few days of school. It's almost like reopening every September again, where there's a bus that drives late, there's a pickup that didn't happen. There's going to be issues, and I assure you that we're working diligently to address those. If they are, contact the building right away. Please understand that correcting the problem is our #1 priority for your children. We will do so, and look out in the next 48 hours for some further announcements on district information related to returning to school. We look forward to continuing to supporting your children and supporting you, and we appreciate your support very much. Thank you for the kind words. Cancer Nation's coming back to school full time. See you all on the 22nd to 29th, and soon to be announced other dates. Bus info will be, is it on our website, Matt?
To answer your question, will my child get a bus pass? Yes. So what we're trying to do with the bus passes, we're going to print them off and have your student get on the bus the first day, and we will get them their bus passes when they get into school. It's easier to hand it out to them at that point. We don't want to trust the mail to get it to you on time. We find that sometimes it doesn't quite arrive because the cards are a little funny in the envelopes. So we'll definitely get those to you.
And where can you find information on buses, on bus information? That was another question.
Okay, so on bus information, if you go to the Norton Public Schools website and go to the transportation page, all the busing information is there. If you do not find it, you send me an email. I'd be happy to respond to anyone who has an email question of anything that they may not be able to find on the website. I'd also like to remind everybody that the school lunch is still being provided, and breakfast is being provided at no charge through the USDA seamless summer option. So if you utilize the program, we urge everyone to. Meals are no charge to you. It's being supported by federal funds. And as well, I know this is kind of funny to say that, folks, you should fill out a free and reduced lunch form, since we just said that the meals are being provided at no charge. If your economic situation has changed, please fill out the free and reduced lunch form, because you could qualify. If you qualify for free and reduced lunch, you qualify for free busing and reduced cost on athletic fees as well. So there's other benefits that come with that.
Yeah, please do what's right for your family. We support it. It is kind of a confidential process. And again, $52 to take the bus, free food for the rest of the year. We're coming back together to work with your children. I am excited. As you can probably know, I can't wait to see your kids. Have a great night, and see you around over the next few weeks. Take care.
Thank you all.